This is the best possible start to Helldivers 2. I'm going to be covering all the best upgrades to get early on, game settings, control changes, everything that you need to know in order to not only improve your gameplay, but improve your skill, be more valuable in combat, and absolutely dominate this game, and exactly what you should buy early on and what to upgrade. Let's get into it. Now, before you watch this guide, I'm going to assume that you've done the following. Play the tutorial, and just play a few random matches. You don't have to play too many, but I'm going to assume that you've done at least these two things before we proceed. Now, one of the first things that we want to do before you even play the game is that you want to min-max your graphics settings. If you're a PC player, you'll change your graphics card settings, and I'm going to show you that right now. So I have an NVIDIA graphics card, and what you want to do is you want to have settings kind of like this. So what I did is I right-clicked my desktop and clicked NVIDIA Control Panel, and just copy these exact settings, alright? Altering the brightness, the gamma, the digital vibrance. This is going to make you be able to see enemies much easier, and this works for all shooting games, especially like Call of Duty games and any kind of like World War II games where it's very grainy, even though like the really lifelike simulation shooting games. Having these settings makes colors pop out, makes things easier to see in the dark. It's kind of a cheat code for video games. Now, if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, you'll have to do something similar with your brightness, contrast, gamma, digital vibrance, and hue. And if you're on console, you'll have to do this through your television. I don't know what TV you have, so you'll have to figure that out yourself. So here are the recommended gameplay options. Unlike other people's guides, I'm going to be telling you how and why you should be doing this. Let's get started. So the first thing under the gameplay tab, so we're in options, we're in the gameplay tab. You're going to go to crossplay. Now, you're going to turn this off if you're on PC, but if you're on console, you're going to turn this on, and here's why. Here's the absolute ridiculous truth, and I know that you don't want to hear this, but console players suck at video games more than PC players. PC players are more reliable as teammates. PC players are simply a better teammate to have. So by turning crossplay off, you get rid of all the console plebes that will pollute your games. Now, of course, as a console plebe, you want the PC chads to carry you, so you would turn this on. Next up is remember aim mode. You want per weapon. Now, the reason why is sometimes you'll be using a scoped weapon and sometimes you'll be using a fully automatic weapon, and you don't want to remember the aim mode, universal across all weapons, because that will be jank and mess you up. More on this later when we get to control changes. Remember weapon functions, yes. So certain weapon functions, once you toggle them, will always be that way for that weapon, with the exception of RPM on machine guns and a few other things. This just makes it easier so that you don't have to continually adjust your scope every single match. So weapon switch mode, default, no real reason to change this. Switch weapon on pickup, yes. Now, the reason why you want this on is there are times when you want to stack weapons on the ground so that you can get around cooldowns, or so that you can rapidly fire, say, a rocket launcher without reloading. So in a few game modes, you have like a defense mode, and you will have a plasma cannon of sorts, and it has a long overheat cooldown. But if you have two plasma cannons, you can pick one up, shoot it, pick another one up, and immediately shoot that one. So you're doubling your DPS, and that's why we have it on. Auto climb during sprint, yes. Now, this is just less button inputs, and the only annoying thing with having this on is sometimes if you run too close to a resupply, you'll climb on top of it. It's just kind of a running gag in the game. Dynamic aim mode, no. Now, we're going to be changing our controls, so this doesn't really matter much, but dynamic aim mode is an annoyance. It's really something you don't want to get used to using. What it does is it changes your aim down sights or third-person mode, depending on if you tap or hold. It's not necessary. Next up, we will cover recommended options for the display settings. Now, this is going to be kind of, different for everybody a little bit, and I'll talk about it. So, camera shake strength off. You want this off so you can aim and shoot better. If you have it on, yeah, the game looks kind of cooler, but it makes it really hard to hit enemies when there's constant explosions and mortars and missiles and everything's going crazy. Vertical field of view. So I want to talk about this one. Now, a lot of people, they want to increase this so they can see further around them. That's not important. You have a literal radar and a map where you can see everything around you anyway, so there's no excuse to have this high. By having it low, it allows you to have more accurate shots, which is very important for landing headshots on the automatons. So resolution, you want to have it set to whatever your monitor maxes out at. And for frame rate limit, you do want this on, and there's a few reasons. One is a safety reason. You don't want to burn out your GPU. Some games will burn out a GPU if there's no frame rate limit. And with the frame rate limit, you want to have it set to double your monitor's refresh rate. So my monitor is very old. It's from like 2009 or 2010. It has a refresh rate of 60 hertz. So I have my frame rate limit set to 120. All right, so if you have a 144 HD monitor, you'd want 288. VSync, turn this shit off because it sucks. It's just a bad option. You should never use VSync in any game ever. Now we are under the graphics tab, so let's talk about that. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I make the game as beautiful and as pretty as possible because Helldivers 2 is a very cinematic action movie experience. But if you really want to min-max, I'm going to help you out here, so let's talk about it. So, motion blur 0, this is something that I do have off because blurring the game when you turn around and you're going to be constantly turning and spinning and aiming, it just sucks. It really sucks for gameplay. Depth of field off, again, same thing. This is whenever something is close, it will blur everything behind it. You don't want that. Bloom off, this is the light, like, glowing textures that, you know, if there's like an explosion in the background, it's going to make everything like kind of bright and blurry. Render distance ultra. You want to be able to see as far as possible, assuming your computer can handle it. The further you can see, the more enemies you can see, the more patrols you can see. So, now these all make the game much uglier, but it does help in combat. I don't use these settings, but if you want to really min-max, you know, how good you are at the game, you will need to change these. Reflection quality, lowest. You don't want reflections blurring up and brightening the game. Ambient occlusion off, again, you don't want light reflective surfaces and stuff like that. Screen space global illumination off. Now, sometimes, rarely, in certain parts of the game, there will be these bright-ass street lights, or whatever they are, lamps or light sources that just blur and make everything super hard to see. You can shoot these in the game to get rid of them, but it does make it hard to fight, especially if you're staring at the sun and enemies are, you know, behind the sun. It can be very bright, or on a fiery planet. Vegetation and rubble density lowest. This doesn't really affect automatons much because they're so big, but it does help against the terminids, the bugs. Volumetric fog quality lowest. By having this high, fog can be a very huge detriment to seeing enemies in the distance, but having it lowest, you can see them a little bit better. Lighting quality low. Again, if you have it really high, the lighting can be blinding to your character and make it hard to shoot targets. But again, it does make the game look much uglier. Now for audio, there's not a lot here to change, but you want voice chat higher than everything else because this game can get very loud with lots of explosions. You want to be able to hear your teammates and what they're saying. Also, you can increase dialogue volume. This is just the Helldivers and, you know, the ship and whatnot making callouts like, you know, enemy artillery in the area over and over and over again. You don't need to do this, but if you're having trouble hearing it or you're missing callouts, you should increase this over the rest of the volume. It's not necessary, but it's just nice to be able to hear the callouts. Now I want to talk about the HUD options, which a lot of these are just fine by default, but just in case, I'm going to talk about the main ones that you should just keep in mind of. So, primary objective visibility, you want this visible at all times so you know where to go, what to do. Secondary objective visibility, I wish this was visible all the time, but there's no setting for that. So, dynamic is the next best thing. This just means it'll pop up when you're nearby. Mission info visibility, you want this set to dynamic because you can time certain bot drops or burrow holes or events when it's dynamic. If it's always visible, it's very hard to tell when you're about to get dropped on. Stratagem visibility, I like header visible. You can use whatever you want though. Health and visibility, it's always good to see your health at all times. I like weapon status visible. Stamina visibility, I like it dynamic, and the reason why is if your stamina gets affected by something like you're stuck in a bush, it'll quickly pop up on screen, start flashing. If you're, you know, being slowed, it'll come up on screen, start flashing. If you're low on stamina, it'll come up on screen, start flashing. If it's always visible, you might not notice it as often. So stamina width, I just keep it normal. Reticle visibility, dynamic. Now, it's mostly always visible on most weapons, but for some weapons, changing this setting can break it completely, like the spear. I don't know if this ever got patched, but keep it on dynamic just to be safe. Map navigation mode hybrid. You want to be able to move and look at things and move. You want to learn how to move the mini-map by the default way. Having it using your movement keys to move the map is terrible, and it roots you in place, and you don't want to be rooted in place ever. So I want to talk about mouse and keyboard settings for just a moment. Now, a lot of these are going, like, there is no, I can't tell you what sensitivity to use. I can't tell you, like, what to change here. However, I can tell you how to improve your aim and show you the basics that most FPS gamers, I used to be a pro gamer, and this is how you can determine to find your native sensitivity. And this works for almost all FPS games, but what you want to do first is you want to find your flick sensitivity. I'm not going to go into too much detail about sensitivity because that would take a whole video, but essentially, just Google, like, flick aim trainer or something of the sort. Now, you would have to do this in the game, of course. You would have to do this within Helldivers, and what you'll do is you will have your mouse in the center of a screen, and the enemy will be somewhere on that screen. And what you want to do is flick your mouse as fast as possible towards the target and click on it and see, are you shooting before the target or after the target? So in this case, bam, and then bam. So right there, I shot too far ahead of the target, and that, if that keeps happening, that means that your sensitivity is too damn high. So you can see here that when I'm flicking, okay, that was a miss, that's a miss. So that was 2, you know, beyond the target, that's a miss. So right now, my native sensitivity, and I know I have the text on the screen here that's kind of blocking it, but essentially, most of my flick misses are beyond the target, so that one's kind of dumb. So there we go, right? So that was a miss, that's beyond the target, so almost missed that one. Now, what's happening is when you flick and you're shooting before you reach the target, that means your sensitivity is too low. So you have to, like, again, this is something that you need to spend anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes to hours, you know, trying. So that was too slow there. So that's a hit. That's a miss. That means sensitivity is too fast. But you have to do hundreds of tests to figure out what your sensitivity is, and you have to adjust it from there. And again, this can take a lot of time, because what you'll do is, if you're shooting way beyond the target, you raise your sensitivity, you lower your sensitivity. And then if you're shooting too much before the target, you have to raise it. And once you find that sweet spot, you're going to be able to hit your flicks. And even though Helldivers isn't really a flick-based game, this is just how you would find your native and comfortable sensitivity. But one thing that you do want turned off is mouse acceleration. Mouse smoothing, I like this for machine gunning. You can turn this off if you want. It's just easier to track targets. Now, the responsiveness, it's not super important in this game. I prefer this on, it's my preference. You can play with the on and off, see what you like. I like it on. Now, one other thing, too, is if you're a Windows user, which you probably are, you're going to type in mouse under your start menu, assuming you're Windows 10 or up, and you'll get to this option here, and you want to click additional mouse options, and you want to go to pointer options, and you want to make sure that it's on the default. It would be the 6th notch, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You also want to turn off enhanced pointer precision, and let's see, what else do you want to do? Yeah, that's basically it. So make sure that your settings are set that way. Now, I want to talk about key bindings, because changing your key bindings from the default is very, very important. And if you don't do this, you're going to not be nearly as efficient. Everyone's hands are quite different. When I was a child, I got into lots of fights, and I lived in the ghetto, and so I didn't have medical attention that I needed. So I fractured my pinky part of my hand from punching people too much, and it just kind of fused weirdly with my hand. So using my pinky fingers is pretty much a no-go. It's very uncomfortable for me to use the shift or the control button with my hands, and so I have a different control scheme than most, but I'm going to share it with you because you might like it. You might enjoy how I have things binded. So first off, under basic movement, now I've changed crouch to C. This is what I use in other shooting games. Pro to Z. This is just what I use in other games. Now, sprint is my side mouse button, but I want to talk about my side mouse button because here it says it's my middle mouse wheel. So, for me, I have a Razer mouse, and I have a program that allows me to alter the bindings on my mouse. And because I really hate, moving my fingers into the middle of the mouse to push the damn middle mouse wheel down, I've rebound my middle mouse wheel to be the side mouse button. So this is really being pushed by my my right hand, but my thumb, I only have one thumb, it's on the left, of course. And so I'm using my side mouse button to essentially push down the middle mouse button. And I use this because when I browse internet websites, I don't like hitting the middle mouse wheel to quickly scroll. I would rather just use the side button. That's just my personal preference. Now, there's a few more under the General tab here. So dive is Alt key. This is really easy for me to push because I'm using my thumb for C for crouch, my thumb also for Z for prone, and Alt key also uses my thumb so I can keep my fingers on WASD. And you will need to be diving a lot in this game to put out fires, to dodge missiles. There's a lot of reasons to dive, so you want to make sure it's a very comfortable button for you to hit. Next up, the Open Stratagem List. Now, I have this as holding the V button. Again, I'm using my thumb here to hold the stratagem list, and the reason why I do this is it frees up my 3 main fingers to WASD the input commands. And this makes it super quick and easy to summon stratagems, reinforce teammates, and yeah, you can really plug in those commands insanely fast with this setup. Now, for combat, I have Interact as my G button because this is what I use in Fortnite because I need all of those keys free for building very quickly. Now, for Quick Grenade, I have it set to E. Now, by default, your Interact button is E, but I think grenading is way more important than picking up an ammo box or whatever. And so I have Quick Grenade set to E so that I can quickly throw a grenade before automatons run me over. Now, Quick Stim, I have this set to double tapping the side mouse button, the same one that I use to sprint. So again, this side mouse button gets a lot of use, and by double tapping, I'm sprinting while I'm also stimming, and it's way more reactionary for me to use my aiming shooting hand for stimming than it is my movement hand. It allows me to both move and stim at the same time. Another important one that I use is switch aim mode. I have this changed to shift because when I am aiming down sights, even though I am moving around so I can stay moving, I'm not moving very fast or very much. And so shift is just a really quick and easy thing to do with my alternate hand because I don't want my mouse hand, my aiming shooting hand, to have to be hitting buttons to switch the aim mode. I want my movement hand to be in charge of that. It's just way smoother, way easier, and again, it's just much easier to switch aim modes, and you will be switching aim modes a lot, especially if you need to zero in for a headshot on automatons, or get a really precise faraway shot on whatever it is you're trying to blow up. And for whatever reason, sometimes, like, when you're in third-person mode and you're aiming at a target, it'll clip, like, the top of a mountain or something, or the top of some sort of geometry, but when you're in first-person mode, the bullets will actually travel where you're aiming, so you sometimes have to switch to first-person mode to shoot certain targets. So a few other notes here. So I have open weapon wheel as long press R and not hold R, and what this does is when you release R, because it's set to long press, it closes the menu slightly faster. I don't know why, that's just how it is. It's just optimized. So the weapon wheel is very important if you have like a machine gun and you want to increase the rotations per minute of your firing rate. Also, open drop wheel is very important to have. Now again, I actually hold X, I don't push it, and the reason why is it closes the menu quicker. So I hold X, I swipe my mouse on whatever action I need to do, and you're mostly going to be using this to drop samples at the extraction point so that you don't wander off and lose them in a fight. And finally, I have my voice button set to caps lock because that's just an easy finger to do. I don't have full freedom of movement while doing this. I would prefer some other button, but it's the closest thing to my movement keys that I've got. I use mark as Q because it's important to mark patrols, to mark targets you're going to nuke. If you mark a target or someone marks a target, you can mark it too and acknowledge that you're going to be the one to bomb the building and not someone else, so you don't waste stratagems. And also comms wheel, I have this as long press Q, same as the mark button, so you can thank people, you can mark things on the ground, and so on. Also, emote is bead because sometimes you just want to give a firm handshake or a bro hug. Now, at this point, I want to talk about optimal gameplay progression, both in your unlocks, your difficulty climbing, and all of that kind of stuff. So, first off and foremost, there are two different factions to fight. There's the Terminids, these are the bugs, and the automatons, these are the robots. And there's going to be a third one, I think called the Illumination or something, that's coming who knows how long. But essentially, if you want to get better as a player, Oh boy, disloyalty. If you want to get better as a Helldivers player, let me just give you the nitty-gritty. The Terminids is easy mode. The Terminids is playing the game on baby mode, okay? The actual real difficult mode is the automatons, and the reason why is most bugs don't shoot you. Bugs just kind of crawl at you. They're just little target dummies. The automatons force you to learn how to take cover. They force you to learn how to take high ground. They force you to learn how to be zoned in and out, when to run from fights, when to engage, how to seek cover. And you're going to massively increase your accuracy, your reaction time, your movement, your game knowledge, your game sense by playing automatons. So my extreme recommendation as a new player is to always play automatons. Even right now, the major order is to go clear out the bugs, yes. Let the Redditors do that. Let the dorks and the nerds and the twerps handle the major orders. You will still get rewarded even if you never step foot in the Terminids. I know that's not very democratic of me to say, but the reality is you need to look out for yourself, bucko, first and foremost. And if you spend 100 hours fighting automatons and then you go jump into a Terminid match, you're just gonna feel like it's a cakewalk. You're gonna be like, what the hell is this? This is too easy. Everyone around you is gonna be dying. Everyone's around you gonna be screaming and tearing. You're gonna be having a field trip. It's gonna be like, you know, a day off essentially as a Helldiver, right? Now, as far as the personal order goes in the bottom right corner of the screen, which I can't really mouse over, don't worry about that. Don't be bringing, like if it's something stupid, just 15 medals is nothing. 15 medals is about 10 to 20 minutes of gameplay. You're not really saving much time by encumbering yourself with a stupid personal order. So you can almost always ignore those. And as you play this game, you're going to be capped on medals and a bunch of other stuff, so you don't even need to worry about the major order anyway. Like, I'm capped on medals. I don't need 55 medals. I don't care if, I honestly don't care if we clear out the bugs or not. It does not matter to me. But with that said, let me explain gameplay progression now. So, the fastest way to progress, now I do recommend that as a brand new player, you progress as quickly as possible. So, what you want to do is, you're probably going to be on a low difficulty because you're a new account, you're a new player. And the way difficulty works, okay, is we're going to just pick a planet here. You have to complete an entire operation. So you'll see here that this difficulty trivial, we have, if we click this, we have one mission in this kind of like yellow-orange piss-colored circle, right? We have one mission. We beat this mission, we beat the operation. Whereas, if I'm on Helldiver difficulty, and I click the piss yellow circle, I have 3 different missions I have to complete the operation. So, by completing the operation, that unlocks the next difficulty. And you may be thinking, well, why do I care about unlocking new difficulty levels? Well, each difficulty unlock, not only does it make the game more fun and interesting, but it's a multiplier to your experience points and a multiplier to your unlocks. Also, higher difficulties have different samples, and so your objective as a new player is to climb your way to Helldive difficulty as fast as possible, because the more time that you spend in these piss easy difficulties, the slower you're going to level up, the slower you're going to acquire samples and super credits and medals and all the other kind of resources we'll talk about in a minute. So, what I want you to do in order to progress difficulties is as fast as possible is try to find the most populated zones, and right now everyone's fighting the bugs, so you might have to go to the bugs. Like, this area has 93,000 people, 93,000 Helldivers. You can see the yellow number in the center of the screen says 93,070, whereas over here, this zone only has 2,461. It's going to be much harder to find a game with other people in this sector. So, for instance, I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's just find the most populated planet, 17,000 or 75,000. Let's just click here, and we're in trivial difficulty. And what you want to do is kind of swipe around the planet and look for a white icon, not in a piss circle, all right? Which there isn't any. Let me just show you an example. We'll find one. So here's one. You want to mouse over it, and you want to make sure that it has enough players. You also want to make sure that in the bottom right corner of this square, it says elapsed time on surface. Reference that time with the number in the top right corner of the screen that says 40 minutes. So you have a 40-minute timer on this mission, which obviously it won't take 40 minutes, but you're given 40 minutes. and there's only one person here. So this is not a good game to join. You want to join a game with multiple people so that that's also been elapsed a lot longer. So let me try to find an example on Helldivers. See, we got a bunch here. So these are 1 out of 4s. I don't want to join those. That's 2 out of 4. But this mission has not started yet. They're still in the planning screen. So we don't want to join that one. Here's one. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And this one hasn't joined yet. So there we go. Swipe around. We have... let's see. Here's one that's 3 minutes and 46 seconds in. So you've got a lot of work to do if you join this one. But if this was like 10 or 15 minutes elapsed, you could join this, and most likely you're going to be joining in on it where all the work is already done for you, and you just have to extract, or everyone just has to die, because even if you complete the objectives and everyone dies, you still complete the objective. And most likely, because there's 3 people, this is an ongoing campaign, and you will be able to complete this difficulty much faster, which means by completing, again, the piss circles, you have to complete all the missions in the piss circle. What this means is once you do that, you go to the next difficulty, and then you rinse and you repeat all the way to Helldive difficulty. And once you reach Helldive difficulty, you have a 250% increased modifier to your experience and your requisition slips. Also, you get the most samples. So you want to race to Helldive as fast as possible by joining already active games, and it's going to be the quickest, fastest, and easiest way to progress. Not everyone kind of enjoys, this type of gameplay, but that's the raw truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat it or, tell you lies or anything. I'm here to help you get to the damn end game as quick as possible. That's it. Now, it's also very important as you're getting into higher difficulties that you start getting better weapons and unlocks for those difficulties, because your piddly little machine gun and basic call-ins won't be enough to stop the harder mission like tiers, and people might be kicking you out of games, you might be failing missions, you might be holding your team back, which would suck. So I'm going to go over the upgrades and what you should buy and what you should save up to buy. And I made the mistake as a new player because I didn't realize that resources get capped out. Your medals get capped out, your samples get capped out, and your requisition slips all get capped out. So you need to be spending constantly as you progress. So here's what I recommend that you buy. Now, these are the stratagems that I recommend, and you're going to have all of these unlocked very, very soon. Like, you could literally unlock all of these on your first day of playing. I'm not joking. These are very quick and fast to unlock, but I'm going to give you the best suggestions first, and why, and how, and, all the reasoning. So, first off is the anti-material rifle. The reason why I recommend this is it is the fastest time to kill on just about everything versus automatons. It's super safe. It's very reliable for killing just about any and all threats. This can also technically, you can 1v1 the giant walking factories with this thing if you shoot it in the right spot. I'm not joking. This thing can solo 1v1. It does take a lot of shots, though, the walking factories, all right? The next is the heavy machine gun, and people don't realize just how high damage each bullet is. This thing can kill Hulkers in like just a few shots. It can shoot down aircraft. It can instantly kill walkers. It is an absolute beast of a weapon, though the downside is that you have to get closer to your target than the anti-material rifle, and because you can only hold 2 magazines at a time, it's not as good, but it's still a nice alternative if you don't want to feel like a sniper. The spear is only really used in destroying the fabricator missions for speedrunning. You can use it to shoot other things, and the problem with this weapon is it relies on someone to help you reload fast, but no one ever does that because people just... It's more efficient for 2 Helldivers to be fighting than 2 Helldivers to be fighting, reloading. DPS-wise, at least. So you don't really see this too much. It's fun for roleplay, but it's also good. It's just good for sniping buildings very, very quickly. You can solo the Fabricator speedrun mission. You can solo speedrun the Fabricator destruction missions very quickly with this weapon. Next up is the Orbital Laser. This is just a throw-and-forget weapon that clears out command bunkers. You absolutely, if you're doing command bunkers, this will 100 to 0 a command bunker. You throw it, you move on to the next objective. Like, everyone should be running this on those missions. Also, it's a oh crap, orbital strike. You throw it down when you're getting overwhelmed. It'll just piss all over everything because it's the piss laser, and you're good to go. Eagle Airstrike. Now, out of all the airstrikes, this one is the most damage. You can see it on screen there, blowing up bugs. It destroys buildings. It destroys pretty much everything. You want to run this constantly, and it's also one of the first upgrades that we want to get later on. I'll talk about that in a little while. Then you want basic things like supply pack. This is really good to have because it gives you a constant source of heals and ammo, and it's really good to have someone on the team with a supply pack. It also, sometimes you'll call down a resupply, and you don't want it to go to waste, so you just refill your supply pack with it. The Quasar Cannon is meta currently in the higher difficulties. Everyone runs this. It's just really good to have. If you run the meta perks when you're still leveling up and you're still trying to complete difficulties, you won't be kicked out of games as much by sweatlords. The shield generator pack is an absolute godsend. It's an extra health bar. When you have the shield generator active, it does not cause weapon flinch when you're attacked. It is amazing. It recharges very quickly. I almost always run this, and as a shield generator pack user, you are ideal for holding the samples so that you can safely extract with the samples. That's very important later on when, there's a bottleneck of progression in this game, and it has to do with collecting samples, and so everyone runs shield generator pack so they don't lose samples. Next up, for defense missions or just for funsies, you want Mortar Sentry. Very powerful, though it can kill allies if they're stupid and run into, mortared zones. The EMS Mortar Sentry basically freezes all the enemies in the area, and it's non-lethal, so you don't have to worry about killing allies. It's just really clutch and useful to have. The Autocannon Sentry is great to throw down in an oh crap moment, and it will just help you clear out lots of enemies. The Eagle Cluster Bomb is also really good to just completely wipe out a bunch of low to mid-level enemies. This actually can kill Hulkers, but it's rare. It happens sometimes, not always, but it does happen. The Orbital Airburst Strike is basically just the Cluster Bomb 3 times over. Again, this can also kill a Hulker. It's not very often that it does. This is also just a more circular area of effect. It's pretty useful, but sometimes, depending on where you're at on the map and where your ship is, your destroyer, this can have a really bad angle and kill a lot of teammates, but it's still really good to have. Finally, for certain missions, you're going to want to bring the barrages, the 380 and the 120. This just lets you throw a few of these at a base camp, walk away from it, wait for it to do its barrage. You'll come back later, pick up the samples. You don't have to worry about killing buildings. These are your most basic unlocks that you should work towards first. But like I said, you're going to have so many requisition slips that you're going to unlock everything on your first day anyway. Now, let's talk about ship modules for just a sec. Now, my first three recommendations are Donation Access License. And what this does, sorry, I'm covering the text, is it allows you to have the maximum number of carryable magazines in your deployable weapons. Very important to have so you don't waste resupplies early on. It's also really cheap to get early on. Now, next up is liquid ventilated cockpit in the hangar. And what this does is it reduces the cooldown by 50%. All right, and then you also want pit crew hazard pay. Reduces the rearm time by 20%. Very, very nice. And then synthetic supplementation. I want to talk about that. I have a star next to it, and here's why. The main use for this is to reduce the cooldown of your resupply by 10%. Now, as long as somebody on the team has this, which most likely they will, then you don't need it. You don't need it. But you do have to, here's the thing with the ship modules, you have to unlock the first level to unlock the next levels, and they're all pretty much useful in their own ways. Now, I do want to talk about one in particular, that is atmospheric monitoring. And what this does is it reduces the spread of the barrages. I don't recommend that you ever buy this. The reason why is because the only time this would be useful to reduce the spread is if you're already in the middle of a large base or you're wanting to kill command bunkers. That's the only two reasons you would ever want to buy this. Because you want to be on the edge of a base, throw it towards the base, and then watch the whole base crumble. If you reduce the spread, you're not going to hit the whole base from the outer portion. Does that make sense? But a lot of these are just very, very useful. Some of them, though, don't entirely work. Like, superior packing methodology. This is supposed to refill your support weapons with the maximum carryable magazines. I think this only works if you're the host. I'm going to be real with you. This sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. They even say in like 2 patch notes now that, oh, they fixed it. No, they didn't. They didn't fix it. But it's, you know, if it were working, it would be very nice to have, especially when paired with certain weapons. But a lot of these are just really nice to have because they just lower your cooldowns. They, again, lowering your cooldowns always good. Always get those when you can afford them. There's no reason not to spin. You know, having Orbital Cannon upgrades are really nice too. I didn't put them on screen. But, like, reducing damage fall-off is nice. Having 1 extra, you know, salvo is nice. Having cooldown reduction is nice. And the hanger is really the first one you really want to, like, rush towards. It's the most useful one and the most highest DPS damaging one. So, Expanded Weapons Bay lets you get an extra use before you rearm by 1. That's huge. And then XXL Weapons Bay, any XXL enjoyers here, guys, is great because it drops an additional bomb. That's just an extra damage. So when you're attacking walking factories, you definitely want that extra bomb to be part of your arsenal, right? And now another really good one that I didn't put on screen that I want to talk about is Nuclear Radar. This just increases your radar range, which when paired with a trophy, allows even more radar range, so you will always be aware of everything around you all of the time. It's really nice to have. Power steering is really nice to have in those clutch moments where you land on factories or hulkers or walking factories, but it's not super necessary. It's just nice to have, so you don't accidentally land on your teammates. Or if you're a griefer, which I do love me some griefing sometimes, not so much in this game, but to land on your teammates, this is the funnest one. If you just want to grief, then definitely get power steering and just start squishing your teammates. It's so, I've had it done to me and I just can't help but laugh about it, okay? So again, anything with cooldown reduction, very, very good to have. Now, the engineering bay, you know, the sentries, not so useful, not so meta. Maybe in defense missions if you want to be lazy, but there's like just bomb. If you're playing a defense mission and you want to be meta about it, you just spam the eagle drops. That's all you do. You just spam eagle and nuke everything. It's that simple, right? But I noticed things like increasing the health of the sentry by 50%. 50% of nothing is still nothing, so it doesn't really help. Also, reducing deployment time, and here's one that I recently got with Circuit Expansion. You get 1 extra arc on your arc thrower or Tesla Tower. The Tesla Tower is one of the best things to deploy if you want to kill your team, because people don't understand how Tesla Towers work. You have to be crawling on the ground for it not to zap you, or wearing Tesla armor for it not to hurt you so bad. Otherwise, it one-shots you. And the arc thrower kind of sucks. It's just a meme weapon at this point. And increasing the arcs that it happens to go by 1 is still garbage. It still really sucks. So the sentry upgrades, they may be, you know, they may sound cool, like increasing the ammo by 50% is really nice, but if it only shoots for 10 seconds, then it shoots for 15 seconds, but that's not the case. It just increases it by like 1 or 2 seconds. It's not a big upgrade. Sentries rotating towards targets quickly. Now this is actually a useful and good upgrade. It allows them to kill targets faster. Very important to have. Blast absorption, I don't have this unlocked yet. I can't test it. I can't tell you about it. Now let's talk about acquisitions. This is your medals whenever I push R. Now this is also the cash shop, right? But there's a way to play it without having to, you know, pay pig into the game. And the devs might hate me for telling you about this, but it's fine. So the very first war bond you get is free. This is called the Helldivers Mobilize, and this does not cost money. I mean, you bought the game, you get this basically, right? One thing I want to note about acquisitions as a new player, and as if you never plan to put more money into the game, never, ever, ever spend anything on this superstore ever. Never buy any of this stuff. Never, ever, ever, ever. And there's a reason why. The only time you would ever buy from this shop is when you have all the war bonds completed, which is going to take way too much time as a one-time purchaser person. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to open the Helldivers Mobilize. And the way this works is you have to unlock a certain amount of medals or a certain amount of unlocks to go to the next page. And you're going to be spending medals on wacky things like emotes and random armors and stuff. We're going to go over gear in just a bit, but what you want to prioritize is the grenades. You want to prioritize the super credits. and the main weapons before you prioritize armors or helmets or capes or emotes or anything else, right? Always prioritize those first and then proceed to the next page and then so on and so forth. And you're going to unlock these relatively quickly. It may take you like your first week to complete the Helldivers Mobilize, not fully complete it, but get all the weapons. And there's a few unlocks that you want to do. Also, I didn't talk about the boosters, which I called trophies earlier, like, for instance, stamina enhancement and stuff. You definitely want to get those as soon as possible, because if you join a team without one of these, they might kick you out. So, getting them early on, like, you get it as early as page 3, you'll get the Hellpod space optimization. It just lets you come out fully stocked with ammo, grenades, and stims. Normally, you only get stocked with 2 grenades, 2 stims, but this will give you 4 and 4. So, very, very nice and very important to have. But just keep working along, and you're going to be unlocking guns and sidearms and stuff like that. Now, also, because once you do complete it, you're going to have a bunch of super credits that you've unlocked from this, as well as random super credits that are looted in the game. When you loot random, like, little space pods, when you loot random bunkers, you can come across super credits anywhere from 10 to 20 to 50 to 100 at a time. And once you reach 1,000... you can then unlock another war bond. And the war bond that I highly recommend that you unlock first is the cutting edge war bond. And the reason why is because there's a few meta things in here. First off is the sickle, which is, it's not the best. It's not my recommendation, but it's nice to have. You also have localization confusion. Not that great. I don't use that. This is the main reason we get this war bond first, is because of the stun grenade. The stun grenade is absolutely meta for taking down everything except walking factories. You want to be running stun grenades, and I'm going to talk about this later in the video. You also get a Punisher Plasma, which it's fun to use. It's not that good. Dagger sucks. The Blitzer sucks. Alright, so the only real reason you're getting this is for the damn stun grenades. And again, stun grenades are very clutch things that you would use. It completely freezes enemies and lets you line up headshots, lets you take down Hulkers by walking behind them. It lets you survive pretty much every encounter but the walking factories. Now, as far as your next war bond after that, the Steeled Veterans has a lot of meta weapons for fighting bugs, which I don't really tend to care about. The Democratic Detonation has a few weapons that allows you to kill certain buildings and tough enemies with just your primary or secondary weapon, so definitely one of those. I would say the worst one right now is Viper Commandos, because it's mostly skins and, like, meme weapons, like throwing knives, like, oh yeah, let me throw a knife at a robot. You can actually, it has medium armor penetration, I have heard, but again, I haven't got to play with these things. It's mostly just skins and custom titles and stuff, and let me shake your hand, I want to shake your hand. Also, an experimental infusion that might increase your movement speed, which could be pretty useful, but it causes trembling. I don't know. I haven't got to play with them, so I can't really tell you about them. Now, I want to talk about meta weapons, skill ceilings, and all of that kind of stuff. So for your primary, when you're just starting the game, you're going to be running the AR-23 Liberator. This weapon is absolutely, completely fine, and it's pretty much a middle-of-the-road weapon. It's absolutely great, does everything fine. You may be thinking, well, what about this Penetrator? Well, it has less ammo, and yeah, if you're landing headshots on the higher, life form automatons, I wouldn't call them life forms because they're robots, but you will do slightly more damage, but it's just, I don't know, I prefer the regular one over the Penetrator. Now, next up, you have the Marksman Rifle. You have the Diligence, which is okay, but this is the meta weapon for automatons. The Diligence Counter Sniper. If you learn to get good with this weapon and land headshots, this one-shots Devastators. This the enemies that walk around with the shields and the rocket launchers. And I don't mean like the little humanoids. I mean the big boys, the big chunky boys. This thing blows their heads off in a single shot from any distance. And once you get really good at this weapon, you can kill 5 to 6 before they can get a shot off. You are an absolute beast, an asset to the team. You don't need to do airstrikes. You don't need to use your third weapon slot to take those bad boys out. And also, you can unload this into the back of a Hulker, killing it very quickly before it has time to turn around. It is the meta of meta weapons. The only downside is that against walkers, You have to have a height advantage, or click the very tippy top of their head or their visor slot. It's very hard to kill walkers with this thing in an upfront battle. You will have to probably use a stun grenade to get them to hunch over. Other than that, the submachine gun, it's all right. The submachine gun is actually better than the Liberator in every way. So once you get the submachine gun, you never need to use the Liberator ever again. These shotguns are okay. The Punisher's okay, but the Slugger is exceptional. The Slugger is the second weapon that can one-shot headshot Devastators, and it can also stun lock them. However, it's slower DPS, it's less range than the Diligence Counter Sniper, so there's no reason to use the Slugger over the Diligence Counter Sniper at all. There's just no reason to. Next up, we had the Breaker and the Breaker Spray and Pray. The Breaker used to be meta. Everyone ran the Breaker. It got nerfed to the ground. Don't use this anymore. It sucks now. Energy weapons. The Punisher Plasma is a fun weapon. It's very fun to shoot this thing. It kills groups of smaller enemies very quickly. You can stun lock bigger enemies, and you can 4 or 5 shot Devastators. You can kill Hulkers. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. It's not so good at shooting aircraft, though you can shoot down aircraft with it. It's just difficult. The Blitzer is a meme weapon for, very low difficulties. It's fun for low difficulties with, small enemies, and that's it. It's pretty useless everywhere else. The Scythe is pretty good. It's a pretty good weapon. It's alright. Now, it is a continuous beam. You can kind of use it to mark targets and kind of play like a little laser boy if you want to do, a laser build. It's not very meta. It's kind of annoying to use. It's fun, but it's not the best. The Sickle is very, very good. It is, you're going to be constantly shooting with the thing. You're going to feel like an action hero. This is the better version of the Defender, which is the better version of the Liberator. So once you have the Sickle, you'll never use those other two weapons ever again. You can kill Devastators with headshots with this thing after some sustained fire, not a one-shot headshot. And then the Scorcher, which is the meta of meta weapons. Now, this thing can be dangerous, though, because if you shoot something up close, you will take explosion damage. This thing can shoot down aircraft with about 8 or 9 shots. This thing can kill Devastators by shooting them in the upper shoulder head area 4 to 5 times. This thing can 1 to 2 shot or 3 shot walkers from the front. This thing clears out packs of mobs, and it's a really good meta weapon. So basically, I go from playing Scorcher to Diligence Counter Sniper. The only downside to Diligence Counter Sniper is you can't shoot down aircraft, which you can deal damage to the aircraft, but if you shoot all 6 of your magazines perfectly into it, it will not down an aircraft. Whereas the Scorcher will. You can kill an aircraft in 1 to 2 magazines with it. Now we have the secondary weapons, which I don't have all of the, the war bonds unlocked, but I will say that the Redeemer, which is a submachine gun, not really, it's a fully automatic pistol. This thing has the highest DPS out of these other 2 weapons, so when you're getting charged by those walking chainsaw robots, this is the weapon to pull out. When you get approached by a bunch of small guys and they're about to shoot off a flare for a bot drop, you pull this bad boy out and you spray them all down. It's very powerful. For throwing weapons, before you unlock Stun Grenade, the High Explosive, the Frag Grenade, the Impact Grenade, they're all fine. But once you get Stun Grenade, you basically never use anything else. The Smoke Grenade doesn't tend to work too well. Enemies just shoot through it. They can still see you. It doesn't matter. You would think you could smoke the ground and then the aircraft would leave you alone. Nope. Maybe in the future. But the Stun Grenade is the grenade of grenades, because what this does is it basically time freezes whoever you throw it at long enough for you to line up headshots, long enough for you to flank behind them and kill them in their weak spot. It does not work on tanks or the walking factories, but it works on everything else. It just completely stops them from moving. They will hunch over, they will show you their bald spot on their head, and it makes for very easy and quick kills. So let's talk about the boosters. Now, we have Vitality Enhancement. You resist injury. Guess what? Stims cure injuries. Stamina Enhancement. Guess what? Stims restore your stamina. Muscle Enhancement. You can traverse difficult terrain with ease. This usually isn't a problem. 99% of the terrain is not difficult to traverse. You don't need this. UAV Recon Booster. Increases the effective radar range. I always run this if someone else isn't. Always, always, always. This massively increases your radar range, allowing you to see patrols, what's around you, what you're coming up against, how many targets you're going to be fighting. I highly recommend this all of the time. Reinforcement budget, if you're constantly dying and you're with newbies, I guess, but like once you get to Helldiver and you start playing with real players, then people don't die. Hellpod space optimization, you come fully stocked with ammo, grenades, and sims. This is very, very good to have. Someone almost always runs this. Localization confusing, increases the time between enemy encounters. This is, I've never noticed this actually, like, I don't know how long the time between encounters actually is, and I've never really seen this put into play, so I can't tell you about it. Now, also for armor. Armor is very important in this game in the fact that the armor rating doesn't do hardly much at all. It does not make a difference. What does matter is your speed. You want the armor with the highest speed rating, but also different armors do different things. And what I recommend is any kind of armor with the highest possible speed and with the perk that reduces the range at which enemies can detect you, because a lot of times they're like once you get into the higher difficulty, you don't want to take every fight. If you take every fight and fight every patrol, you will be endlessly fighting because the bots will endlessly reinforce, and that's not how the game works in higher difficulties. The way the game works is you run to an objective, you do the objective, you run away from the big horde of enemies that appear, you go to the next objective, they do a drop on you, you kill the drop, you do the objective, you go to the next objective. So, because you're going to be moving from objective to objective a lot of the time, and the majority of the time you're going to be moving, you want to move as fast as possible, and you want to move at where the enemies don't detect you as often, meaning less encounters, right? Because your job is not to go kill the automatons and kill random patrols. Your job is to bomb the base, save the scientist, or, raise the flag, like a Pancho's Mexican buffet. Does anyone remember that? I think they're still around in some places, but anyway, there are other armors that do things. Now, if you think, hey, I want to be a heavy armor Chad, I want to have big armor rating, 150 is way more than 50. Let me tell you about armor. So, there's only a few things in the game that one-shots you. That's being stepped on, and if an explosion pops you high enough into the sky, and then you die to fall damage. That's it. Or your teammates. Your teammates blow you the hell up or shoot you. That's the only things that one-shot you. Now, there are times where you'll be stun-locked by a missile laying on the ground and then a bunch of enemies shoot you. Or you get caught out dead in the open by a Devastator and they machine gun you down. That does happen, and recently they nerfed the flamethrower from the Hulkers from just insta-killing you, so that's good. But having 150 armor rating, you still die in the same time. Yes, individually you will take slightly less damage. For instance, if a rocket takes you down to 20% life with 50 armor, it will take you down to 35% life with 150 armor. It will not negate the majority of the damage. Stamina regeneration, not super important, but to other armor effects, just to show you in case you don't know the game or you don't know what armor does, you can reduce recoil, which if you're good at the game, you don't need this perk ever. Increasing your grenades sounds pretty damn good. You don't need it. You can increase your stims, you can increase the stim effect duration by 2 whole seconds. This gives you 2 more seconds of bullet absorbing, which is cool and all. This used to be meta, not anymore. It's all about move speed and stealth now. Move speed and stealth. Right, higher armor rating, like this armor gives you higher armor without too much speed loss versus this armor, which you lose some speed. You don't want to lose speed. The reason why you want to move as fast as possible is if you're fighting bugs, you don't want to get swarmed, and if you're fighting robots, it messes up their targeting. By moving at the fastest possible move speed, you are effectively dodging bullets and rockets. It just makes everything quicker, easier, snappier. So right now, the meta is running light scout armor. Also, being able, if you're a new player, you may not realize it, but you can put markers on the map, and they will generate a radar ping, which allows you to also find super samples and other kind of things like super credits and chests and caches. I know it's pronounced cache, but I like to say cache. Someone always tries to correct me in the comments. That's free engagement for me. Anyway, the point is just run the damn armor with the highest speed rating that you have that has, reduces stealth detection. You'll be good to go. Just run that, trust me. Also, as of this recording, helmets and capes don't do anything. They're just for looks, so I have this weird little, Star Wars-y kind of helmet. Now, most of the armors in the premium, the war bonds, are all kind of meme armors. Like, for instance, in the cutting edge one, you get 95% resistance to arc damage. Enemies don't ever use lightning or arc damage. This would be, if you and all of your friends, you'd have to have a pre-made for this, decide to run Tesla towers and arc weapons. That's it. That's the only reason, and then you could bounce lightning off of each other and do some kind of fraternity bro thing, right? The Viper Commando's armor's even worse, increases melee damage by 50%. If you want to melee a Devastator, you can, but it takes like 10 to 12 hits, so I guess this reduces it by 6. You're not going to be meleeing hardly ever, unless you just want to be a cool guy action hero, which is clearly what this armor is all about, you know, showing off your arms. Like, this makes no sense to run in canonically, right? You're on planets with like sub-zero temperatures or sweltering heat. You're literally in a spacesuit so you don't die. If you were to wear this on any of those harsh planets, your character would just die immediately. Like, no joke. You would just freeze to death, right? So, and again, like other ones here, you know, they all kind of have like a little theme or a meme. This one is increased throwing range and limb health. Like, who cares? You don't need to you don't need to increase your throwing range at all, ever, for any reason. And this is reduces recoil, increases grenade size. So, again, a lot of useless armors right now. Now, some people will argue this one here that says 50% chance to not die when taking lethal damage. This does not mean that you have a 50% chance to survive a nuclear explosion. And let me explain how that works and why. When you get exploded by a giant bomb, you take damage to your head, your left arm, your right arm, your chest, your left leg, and your right leg all at once. So you would have to win how many coin flips in a row to not die to that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know the odds of winning 6 coin flips in a row. Let me ask an AI. So the reality is, if you want to survive a nuclear explosion with this armor, it is 1 in 64, according to Google's Gemini AI. I don't know if that's right or not. These AIs are usually wrong with their math. I don't know how to do the math on that probability. It also says the percent chance is 1.56%. So this armor isn't as cracked out as it sounds. But now, the other one is that it prevents bleeding from chest hemorrhages, alright? And, look, if you're out of stims and you're bleeding, you are dead. That's just the reality of the game. That's just how it happens. But most of the time, you're not going to be out of stims. And if you're with your teammates, or at least one of your teammates, they probably have a stim. And when you get to the higher difficulties with people that know how to play the game, they'll run over and stim you because they will see in their heads-up display that you're bleeding out and you're dying and you're out of stims. The other one is resistance to explosive damage. Now, because explosions generally don't one-shot you, there is a rare occurrence where a turret from a command bunker will one-shot you. I think they patched that. Those don't count as explosions. Those are laser beams. Those are not explosions. You still die to them. So, yeah. And if you're curious about the armor that I recommended, it's on page 7 of the Helldivers Mobilized War Bond. So you'll get there on your first day, easy peasy. Just grab it. It's the scout armor. And you can pick whatever helmet and cape and stuff you want. But I just basically use everything on page 7. And emotes and your character's title, none of that matters. Just pick whatever you think is funny. I like the handshake because there's the meme of the guy on the airplane. And he's like, I want to shake his hand. And so I'll do that, and then I'll pop on voice chat and do it, and then everyone laughs. It's a really good fun time. Let's get into combat practices and mechanics. So right now, I am doing a hell dive by myself, and I have the radar perk with, you know, the radar stuff unlocked. Look at my radar range. It's massive. And if I want, I can ping an outpost, and I can see all the enemies pretty big. Look at those radar pings. I have complete and total awareness of everything around me. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the Diligence counter sniper, which every time you start a game and drop, you're not going to be scoped in. Here's my settings, 200 meters, that's what I have mine set at. You got 15 shots per reload, and whenever I scope in, this is what it looks like. This is generally how I play the Diligence counter sniper. Now, if I am running the, the anti-material rifle, then I won't scope this in. I'll play like this so I can quickly kill enemies around me, and I'll be using the anti-material rifle as the sniper instead. But let me just show you the damage that this thing can deal to automatons. Also, I just want to point out something completely random. If you ever see these are hell bombs that are, well, unstable. So if you want to lure some enemies near the hell bomb, you can shoot this, and once it starts, you know, catching on fire like that, it'll blow up and kill everything around it. It's a really cool clutch move to do, especially if you're having to shoot and retreat. So let's talk about the Diligence counter sniper right now. The first enemy is this walker here, which you cannot effectively kill from ground range. You can grenade it and then shoot the head. That works just fine, also lagging a bit. Now we have a Devastator here with a machine gun. You don't want to ever fight these directly, so again, stun grenade works. It's going to make him slouch down, pop him in the head, and he's instantly down in one shot, which again, when you're popping heads with this thing, it is absolutely vital. So there's another Devastator. And again, because I have cover, I can totally fight them, which I'm missing my stun grenades. But as long as you hit that head, they go down immediately. So they are very, very easy to take down. Next enemy, you can basically kill most enemies with your Devastator, especially from range. It allows you to take down these types of, walking enemies very easily before they can pop off a flare. We have another Devastator coming up this way. Just throw another grenade at him. He's going to slouch down now, and boop, easy. Now, you don't have to throw stun grenades, but Devastators are a very, very dangerous threat. And this guy's going to try to summon a freaking walker. Now, that is a Hulker, which you can kill. Also, I'm getting blown up here, and I died from impact damage. Oh, boy. But you can see that it's a little hard to do filming solo. I should have probably joined a team game. Oh, look, there's my dead body. All right, cool. Now, one thing that you also can't fight are these scout ships. That's why I grabbed a spear just in case I can take those bad boys down. But there is a Hulker, and if I land enough shots... Oh, I locked onto it, so it aggroed it. By the way, that's a mechanic. They do know when they're being locked on. But in order to kill a Hulker, you just have to stun grenade it, walk behind it, and then pop it with your Diligence counter sniper. You can also use your... submachine gun there. That'll also absolutely kill a Hulker. So right now, this Hulker, not a big threat. It's the Devastators near it that are actually pretty scary. The Hulker itself, not a big deal. Just these damn Devastators. And getting caught out in the open against a machine gun one is very, very deadly. So there we go. Go ahead and stun him and pop him in the head. Kill these minions here. Also, I am lagging. I don't know why I'm lagging. Oh boy. Now, obviously, you would want to use this weapon to fight from a distance, and it's pretty easy to pop their heads, although I'm missing 3 misses there, 4 misses. You can still just machine gun them down if you want. You can just simply pop them a bunch in their vulnerable points, and they will still go down relatively quickly, but the headshot is a one-shot kill, and again, very easy to kill Devastators with this weapon. This is why it's very, very meta. Of course, I got caught out in the open. You don't want to do that. That's why you should always stun grenade them first. Devastators will just 100-0 you very, very quickly. Armor won't save you. Now, let's talk about taking down a Hulker with just the Diligence counter sniper. So, again, you don't really want to fight this thing directly. You want to stun grenade it first, get behind it, which I'm also stunned, and just unload into its back with your sniper, which I had to get down from the ledge there, so that took some time. So there we go. It should be stunned. There we go. Pop it behind it. Just start unloading into its back. Once the flames catch fire on the back side of it, then it's basically going to bleed out. You can also just kind of kite around like this, let it swing on you if you don't have the stun grenade. And I do need to reload. Also, I'm getting swarmed down by bots at this point. Again, this is not really... Why am I lagging? I just rubber banded back on the ledge. I've never had that happen until today. Recording is just a whole nother league of RNG. But yeah, that's one way to take down the Hulker. Preferably, you would be sniping it from the back while your teammate has its aggro or its attention. Let's go ahead and just stun grenade that once again. And we can also shoot it from the top here. Well, no, guess not. Bad angle. Now, you can't really shoot these guys, the walking fortress factories, and I just keep dying. So, the Scorcher is the more meta weapon simply because you can shoot walkers from the front with no recourse. So, let's let this walker face me first. Normally, most guns, it'll just bounce right off, but with the Scorcher, you can just shoot the middle of it, and it will deal damage. Also, I'm getting absolutely shredded here. But, yeah, the Scorcher is more of a spammy weapon. You can just fire at a bunch of enemies and kill them, take them down. Now, obviously, I dropped in the middle of a bunch of enemies. There was no surviving that as a solo. But, I'm just trying to show off the weapons here. I'm not trying to show off skill or winning the match or anything of the sort. Now, again, this is a really bad drop spot. So, let's slowly climb down or get stuck in a hole and have to leave. Yes, just land in the cold ice. So, here we have another Devastator. Now, instead of being able to one-shot headshot it with the Scorcher, we will have to shoot its weak spot, which we can zoom in here, shooting the top of the head area. You can see it takes a lot of hits to kill, about 5 or 6, but you don't have to aim as much. Here's a front shot, so 3 shots kind of in the crotch area there. Takes him down. And again, we're just getting kind of swarmed by enemies, so this is a good weapon to just shoot into the crowd because it does deal splash damage. It does deal area of effect damage, so it's not a bad weapon to just spam. That's why it's generally a meta weapon. Now, these enemies that get close, that's why we have our secondary, which you just pull that out, spray them, and there we go. Just take them out. Pretty easy, right? 1 clip per. Also, my sprint seems to not be wanting to work, which I normally never die to those, but my controls got all messed up because I hit restore to default, and right now, yeah, my sprint just isn't working the way it's supposed to. I have to rebind it. But anyway, we're just going to show off the Scorcher here, and why you want to get this. Now, the Scorcher is unlocked at the very last, the page 10 of the War Bond, so you probably won't get this your first day, but once you do, encounters become pretty damn easy. And again, this is a spammy weapon. When there's aircraft, you just spam it at the aircraft. It'll take them down, no problem. Yeah, my keybinds got reset while making this video, so I need to change this to hold, not tap, not press. Long press. There we go, or hold. There we go. So hold. All right. Now I can actually sprint again and not try to walk away. That's what killed me. You can run away from those chainsaw enemies indefinitely, regardless if you're running through snow or not. It's just my keybinds were all goofed up. Now that we have our sprint back, we can actually move more efficiently. We can, get back into cover. And there we go. So, again, Scorcher, very useful. Now, again, against Devastators, you really don't want to fight them head-on ever without stunning them first. So, again, always stun Devastators first. Then you can just kind of pop them in the face area, killing them. And again, with the Scorcher, you don't have to aim as much. There we go. Easy peasy, right? Now, again, the Diligence Counter Sniper is just a better weapon for fighting Devastators because you can kill them instantly. You can kill them by shooting them in the head. Whereas the Scorcher is better off for the walkers and for aircraft. So it's really up to you what you want to bring. If you notice that you're, on a team and everyone is running Scorcher, then run Diligence Counter Sniper. If they're all running Diligence Counter Sniper, then run Scorcher. It makes the team work. That's just how it is. Now let's talk about the anti-material rifle. This is a very powerful sniper rifle. And here's the settings I use, 200 meters on the scope. And again, let's let this guy face us. Let's actually get his attention first. Like, hello, dude. Yo, over here. Alright, there we go. So when taking out walkers, you can shoot the leg, which I completely missed there. There we go. You can pop the leg. That'll kill them immediately. Also, now for any kind of enemy like these Devastators, just 2 shots into the head region will kill them. So let's not get shot by a rocket there. But, okay, here's a Devastator. So that's 1 and 2, and it's down. So it doesn't matter if you hit them directly on the head or not. As long as you're hitting them in the head region, they die. So very useful. Now, again, that was a walker there. We shot it directly in its little shield plate, which did not, or maybe it did kill it. It's hard to tell. There we go. We got a rocket Devastator. So that's 1 and 2. Again, I shot it in the shoulder once and in the head area the second time killing it. So you don't have to be as precise with your aim there. There we go. Just now, these shield guys, you can technically blast through their shield, but it takes extra shots. Not something you want to deal with. Also, I'm gonna die here. Like, I am just completely overwhelmed and surrounded, so it's over for me, boyos. But again, the anti-material rifle, amazing for killing. It is absolutely meta and very fast time to kill. It lets you just fight basically every threat, no problem. We just blew the shield right off of that guy. No ammo here. Very large magazine size. All right, we got our reload, and you could kind of panic spam it too if you're like in a situation where you need to a self-defense situation, Sam Hyde style. Then you can also use it on smaller enemies if you want. It's kind of a waste of the bullet though. But again, this weapon is amazingly meta for taking out Devastators, and of course against Hulkers, it's just a few pops into the back. You can also kill Hulkers from the front with just 2 shots, and I'll try to show that off too in just a sec. Let me just clear out these enemies here. There we go. And none of my guns have ammo. I'm going to cut to a Hulker fight. Now, when you're fighting a Hulker, the best way to deal with them, especially with the anti-material rifle, is to stun them, which will have them hunch over. Then you have to line up your aimer with their visor, which, again, I have way too many enemies on me. It'd be much easier to show you this in a group setting. I don't know why I'm not playing in a group right now. But, again, we got some Hulkers here. Let's go ahead and stun them, and I'm immediately dead. Okay. Alright, take 2 and action. Okay, so we got some Hulkers here. We're going to stun them. Line up their visor here. That's 1, and that's 2. That takes out the Hulker. Very, very easy to kill with the anti-material rifle. And if you're good, and you're fast, and your aim is steady, you don't even need... you don't even need to stun them. Like, if you have enough range on them, just take them out. Let's go ahead and take that guy out. But sometimes with the way they walk, and because if, you know, they're actively shooting you and stuff, and you don't have cover, it can be a little tough sometimes. But let's try to take this one out. No stun. So that's 1 direct hit. And we're out of ammo. So we got 1 out of 2 hits. 1 more hit kills it. Go ahead and line up. There we go. That's the 2nd hit. That takes him down. Kill the buddy behind him. You can see the anti-material rifle is just absolutely amazing for deleting mobs. Now, again, you can also take out... Man, I am just completely surrounded here. This is not good for filming. The giant walking factories, and let me see if I can find one of those. Yeah, there we go. So, the weak point of the walking factories, you can also shoot out the chain guns. The weak point is right below the red eye. The little red eye there on the left of the front plate of the thing. You can see that it's a little hard to aim, but as long as you shoot out those chain guns and the top turret is disabled, you can eventually kill one with an anti-material rifle. It just takes a lot of shots. Also, where's my weapon at? It's right in front of me somewhere. There it is. Go ahead and pick that bad boy back up. But, yeah. Without disabling the machine guns, like, I can't just man-fight this thing. It'll just machine gun me down and kill me. The turret will kill me. All these reinforcements behind me are going to kill me. You can also shoot the middle kind of crotch area of the walkers to take them down. Though blowing off the leg kills it. It's just a kill shot, so you want to aim for the leg. But again, right below the left red eye, you'll see the hit marker there if you landed the shot correctly. Otherwise, you'll see the reflect notification. Which, yeah, and if you want to kill tanks, you have to shoot them in the weak point, the vent behind the tank. I don't have any tanks to show you. So let's talk about the spear now. The spear requires the backpack for the ammo, but the cool thing about the spear is that it lets you kill automaton fabricators, which are these bad boys, these little buildings that print soldiers, very easily, but not always reliably. Sometimes it's wanting to lock onto something else over there, which kind of sucks. So sometimes you'll have to like clear out some of the trash mobs, and he's summoning a drop, which we killed immediately, which is fine. But the way to lock on with the spear, it's a little janky, but just kind of circle around the building you want to shoot. And what this will do, if it works, sometimes it just doesn't want to work. Yeah, it's not working right now. Bad example. They said they patched it, but I guess not. Let's try this building. It's supposed to lock on buildings. Oh, it's locking onto something else over there. What are you locking? Another one of these damn walkers. Try to get higher ground, and that might help you lock onto buildings. But essentially, this is a weapon that you would use to either like snipe out, you know, these turrets, but also to snipe out the fabricators mostly. But for whatever reason, it's deciding not to work right now. Let's just go ahead and take that guy out, and I missed. Okay, still missed. I'm not landing that shot. Alright, I'm just going to waste one. And look at the long reload time. It roots you down. You have to kneel down. You got to slowly reload. If someone else wears the backpack, they can reload instantly for you. But, yeah. I actually got rid of my Scorcher, so I don't really have a way to answer these. This is why people bring Scorchers, is to kill these things. But it's not super necessary. Also, I'm about to get sieged on. It's so hard to film. But the only real reason you would really run a spear is for anti-air or anti-turrets and for fabricators. This is a, you know, kill the fabricator mission. So you just need to kill 5 of them on a Helldive difficulty. It's pretty damn easy, but right now I'm just not having luck locking onto buildings. You just have to trust me on this one. It's really, really good for sniping buildings without getting involved, but right now it doesn't want to work, and it's kind of frustrating me. It's just a little bit. Whatever. I'll try to find a building it'll work on. Alright, so one of the best reasons to use the spear is the anti-air functionality. Now, the best way also to use the spear is don't wait for it to lock on to left click to fire. Simply hold right click and then hold left click, and as soon as it locks on, it will launch the missile immediately. Because what'll happen, and wow, I just got killed by a mortar. What'll happen is it'll lock on for like half a second, and when you try to left click to actually fire it, it'll have been unlocked on and not let you fire. It's really janky, but if you just hold the left click button, you will always fire it the very absolute second that it locks on. So that is the more proper and better way of using it. Let me go ahead and pick this bad boy back up and get it reloaded. And let's see if on this map I can lock onto fabricators. I should be able to. There's a fabricator right there. Can we lock onto it? What about right there? I might be too close for that one. But yeah, let's try to get higher ground and further away. Because you can snipe fabricators with these, which means if everyone just runs... Here we go. What am I shooting at there? I can't even see. That's a tank. Yeah, that's just a tank. Come on. Lock onto the fabricator. Why won't you work? I swear it works, guys. But always, you know, you should bring one anyway just to kill these damn annoying flying creatures. They're not creatures, they're robots. The next weapon is the Quasar Cannon, or Quasar, I don't know how to pronounce this thing. But it's essentially a weapon that you just charge up and then you just let fly. And it's really good at shooting down aircrafts. It's good at destroying everything. It has infinite ammo. Once you shoot, there is a cooldown timer. So I'm waiting on the cooldown timer. You can see it in the bottom left. You can also see it in first-person mode. It says overheat. Just gotta wait for that to go away. And again, this is basically meta for taking down aircraft, taking down tanks. Let's go ahead and just eat those rockets in the face. Why not? Who cares? Anyway, but yeah, you definitely want to pack one of these because it is always useful. It is a consistent source of infinite DPS against higher targets. This is a weapon that you definitely want to bring to kill the walking factories, to kill these large, you know, turrets. And if you have a few of these on your team, you will be able to take out these monstrosities within a reliable amount of time. Of course, you want to drop, you know, airdrops, orbitals, and shoot your Quasar Cannons at the same time. Now, I shot this turret here, and you see it slowly turning around. I don't have to shoot the turret in the weak point to kill it with this weapon. I can just shoot the turret right in the face a few times, and it will eventually be taken out. Also, fire tornadoes are making this video really ugly looking. One of my favorite uses for this cannon, if I can show it off, is shooting airdrops. You just shoot the airdrops in the engine there, and then that ruins the whole airdrop. Everything dies. So, very, very useful for taking out airdrops. You don't have to wait on a lock-on. You can use this also to kill, you know, fabricators. It does take a few hits, though, so it's not immediate. But when fighting these walking fortresses, the walking factories, you definitely want to take out the turret on the top. There we go. Well, that didn't take it out, but that wounded it. And also, you want someone or yourself to take out the machine guns. Once you do that, all the walking turret factory can do is poop out mobs, and you can just pelt it in the face with your Quasar Cannon until it's taken down. Which, also, if you ever want to dodge a cannon shot, wait for the little red glowing flash and then dive. So, there's the flash, dive, and, let's see if we can get another shot off here. There we go. Boom. That takes out the cannon. And now all we have to do is worry about the machine guns on the front of its mouth. But in order to kill the factory here, we're just going to shoot it in the face over and over and over with the Quasar Cannon. We can also do an airstrike drop on it, of course. Again, you want to really take these out as soon as possible so they're not printing out more devastators that'll just run around and rocket you. There we go. We got a little bit hits there. Not too many hits. Not the best. Also, it's really hard to see this thing because of the lighting and the tornadoes. And, oh boy, we have more airships. Airships kind of take priority here, right? Got to take them out first because they're more dangerous because they can swoop around. They basically nullify stealth and cover. That's why the airships kind of suck. They're like a stealth. I'm in a flame tornado. I'm just burning to death. Great. Also, to nullify fire damage, just dive. It'll immediately stop the burning effect. Let's see if we can land the shot there. There we go. And again, Quasar Cannon, absolutely great. You should always bring one. Now, before I talk about the heavy machine gun, I do want to just point out one little quick tip. If you want to farm super credits, all you have to do is drop into a planet, preferably in an area where there's, like, none of the, like, just find the fabricator missions and drop somewhere in the center. You're always going to find one of these little drop pod, space pod things, and just hope it has super credits in it. In this case, it just had medals, boo. But that's one really quick and easy way to farm super credits. You can get $10 worth of super credits in probably an hour, so 10 bucks an hour. So for the heavy machine gun, every time you get it for the first time, you have to hold down R and switch your RPM to 750. This is what you want to be shooting at. And you could use this to kill small enemies if you want, but this is a very high DPS, essential super weapon of sorts. Let me just take out this guy here, take out the small fries so I can show you fighting walkers. You just shoot them directly, they die. They get basically torn to shreds. This weapon deals insanely high damage, even though it's literally a machine gun. Also, I am literally flanked on all sides here. Alright, let's go ahead and take this guy down. So it doesn't really matter where you shoot them. As long as you're shooting them, they will go down. And try to crouch when you're shooting. That way you have a little bit more stability. And my shield is not saving me here. But Yeah, that's fighting walkers. Now, Devastators, you do want to shoot them in the head if you can, but body shots are fine. You're going to stagger them. We have a Devastator actually up here. Let's get reloaded, and then I'll show you fighting against it. And I generally don't use first-person view mode. Now, one tip that you also want to have if you want more stability, especially for like quick encounters, just dive at the enemy and then machine gun them, and then you'll be able to land those hits, killing them very, very quickly. Also, this is really good for killing aircraft if you can land those hits. Though you kind of, it's a little jank when you're fighting aircraft, but you will be able to take them down very, very easily. Just hold left click a little bit. And again, we keep getting these enemies. Now, when fighting like lots of walkers, it's probably not ideal, especially with how much ammo it takes. And I wouldn't use this gun to try to shoot down bot drops either. It's also really, really good against Hulkers if I can find one. You just a few shots in the front faceplate kills them. So you stun a Hulker, you shoot it in the faceplate, it's as good as dead. Also, I am just face tanking this aircraft. Oh boy, I'm going to cut to where I find a Hulker so I can show you guys. Also, when I was talking about super credits, this is what they look like, and if anyone on your team loots these, everyone gets them. This one was worth 10, so not the biggest, it's actually the smallest amount you can get. But hey, 10 cents is 10 cents, man. So the heavy machine gun is actually really good for killing like small structures too, as long as you can get to the air vents here. So here's some air vents, you can just again fully unload into the air vents, and that basically takes care of it. Well, almost. There we go. Now we got it. And again, it's a pretty beastly weapon for anti-air as well, though at this point I am getting way overwhelmed. Now, if you do headshot a Devastator, it will kill it in one single bullet. There we go, as you can see right there. Very, very powerful, especially when you learn how to aim it. The only downside is that you have to be close to your enemies to use this. It's not really a sniper weapon because it is, well, a heavy machine gun. And yes, I'm getting tormented by the aircraft here, but you can just spray the aircraft down, no problem. Let's find a Hulker finally. I've been trying to find one for like 10 minutes now. Alright, so I found a Hulker, so we're just going to stun grenade it, shoot it in the visor just a few times. There's one, there's two, it's dead. It's really that easy to kill a Hulker with a heavy machine gun. Just a few shots in the visor. If you get behind it, it's like 3 or 4 shots into the air vent. And yes, I'm still getting, you know, just bounced around by these scout ships. But yeah, that's the heavy machine gun. Let's move on to other guns now. First off, let's talk about the Eagle Airstrike, which is it's a lined bomb attack based on where you're facing. So in this case, if I throw the bomb in the middle here, it's going to do an airstrike from the left to the right, kind of perpendicular to where I am. So here's what it looks like. Throw the airstrike. Let's see if I landed it. Looks like I landed it. Now that's going to aggro them, which is fine. And it's going to drop a bunch of bombs. It's really cool. Check this out. Here comes the jet. There's the bombs. They all blow up and die. Pretty simple stuff. And let's see if I get some super credits here. Because I'm farming super credits while I make this. Yes! Look at that. 10 super credits. There we go. Easy. Right? Now, this is mostly used to destroy buildings like these fabricators. You can totally nuke fabricators. It has a very large explosion radius, so let's just chunk one. You don't even have to be that precise. Let's see. I think I'm going to hit the fabricator. Looks like that guy's going to summon a bot drop. Oh, well, that's fine. Who cares? And there we go. Boom. It just kills all of those enemies. It's a big explosion. It blows up the buildings. It's really, really cool. And you get a bunch of them. Like, that was my second one so far. This is going to be my third one here. So just, again, chunk this here. You can chunk this at a big wad of enemies and just run away. And it'll do all the work for you. Oh, there's a jammer, so I can't throw that into that direction. There's also a cannon here, so let's just destroy this cannon. Now, you gotta be careful, because I'm getting into the danger close, or the explosion radius of the bomb here, by running this direction. But, there we go. We just do a cool, you know, action hero dive, and we were out of range, so we were fine. Basically fine. Now, at this point, I'm out of Eagle airstrikes, though I do have other Eagle, you know, strikes I can call down. For that one, in order to get it back, I have to do the Eagle rearm, so we'll go ahead and do that. And what that's going to do is it puts it on cooldown now for about 2.5 minutes. So in 2.5 minutes, I'll have 3 more bombs I can summon and nuke stuff with. But if you have other Eagle strikes, you know, in your inventory or in your loadout, you generally don't want to do the rearm until that one's also empty. So that means, oh, I didn't reload for some reason, okay. So I can show off some other weapons while we wait on that rearm. So the Orbital Laser is an auto-targeting laser that will just kind of sweep around and kill everything. So we're going to go ahead and summon that. Go ahead and throw that down. And it lasts for a little while. It's just going to sweep the area, dealing burn, fire, very high damage. And again, it automatically targets all enemies. It targets structures. It's you throw one of these at a command bunker, it will nuke it down and kill it immediately. Well, not immediately, but for the duration of the laser. Let's see if the laser targets the dropship. Well, there it goes. Yep, it's targeting the dropship. So let's see how long it takes to pop that bad boy. And didn't pop it. Alright. Well, we still have our airstrike there, which you wouldn't want to airstrike these things. This is like a really weak airdrop. Again, I'm just using my secondary to kill these. If I can get a reload off, there we go. Yeah, just again spray them down. Pretty easy. Sprint away, spray down, just rinse and repeat. There we go. Didn't even need to land all the hits. So yeah, the orbital laser, the downside is that you can only call it down 3 times in a match, and it's about a 5-minute cooldown each time. So you don't want to bring it unless you absolutely need it, because it's basically like an ultimate of sorts. Let's see if we get some super credits from this bad boy here, and it's requisition slips, whatever. Boring. Anyway, that's the orbital laser. You know, use it if you want. It's really good for killing bases. You chunk it. It's a fire and forget. If you're getting overwhelmed, and a few of your teammates throw the orbital lasers down, it'll kill everything. So it's basically just you know, if you don't want to worry about having to actually do any fighting or targeting or aiming. Now, the Eagle Cluster Bomb is really good for just mob killing in general, and sometimes it can kill Hulkers. As you can see up here, there's a Hulker. Let's see if we can get it. I might have not thrown that far enough, but it's a very loud and wide area of attack. Here it comes. It's just a whole bunch of little cluster explosions, and I didn't get anything there. I didn't throw it far enough. But we get 5 of these before we have to resupply. It's quick to throw down, and I'm just getting... Oh, I threw it at the ground for some reason. That's fun. Let's just go ahead and just action, you know, movie hero dive away from that. Luckily, it just pushed us away. We'll try for a 3rd time to get this shot. Oh boy. Alright, waiting on the cooldown. There we go. Alright, throw it at the Hulker. Sometimes it'll kill the Hulker. Sometimes it won't. We'll see what happens. But it will kill Devastators, and I am out of stims. There we go. Looks like we got the Hulker there. And the Hulker's explosion killed the remaining maybe killed it. Wait, what? I don't know what shot me there. Oh, this guy in the distance. Well, it's a good thing we got our, you know, counter snipers, or we can take it out instantly, right? There we go. Just take out these bad boys. Take them all out. Look at them just trying to shoot. But yeah, the problem with the cluster bomb is it does not kill buildings, and the range is limited to how far you can throw it. You can see here, I'm not able to get this Hulker, and also I'm bleeding out, so I'm just dead here. But yes, the cluster bombs are amazing against very large packs of Devastators or any other kind of mob, and wow, they shot me instantly. But yeah, again, I'm not getting good footage here. But oh, that was a cool air shot. That was such a cool air shot. I'll keep that in. I'll keep that in for the video. But it is a very powerful weapon, especially for Eradicate the Automatons missions. For anything where there's just a very large grouping of enemies, it's like it's one of the best AoE attacks that the game has to offer. But again, you're not really gonna kill. Oh, I'm out of. It's unavailable. For anything else, for like heavier targets like Hulkers, you really just want to use the Airstrike, because that will kill Hulkers. That will kill most things. So I don't really tend to bring both. Wow, that didn't kill it. I said it would kill it and it didn't kill it. Of course not. Why would it, right? And, you know, I can just fight this one normally. And no, I can't, because I'm dead. So the Orbital Airburst strike, wow, the Flame Tornado is really tearing into that base, is basically the cluster bomb, but in a wider, bigger circle. So we're going to go ahead and throw one there. And I might be too close, actually. It depends on the attack angle. But, yeah, it's just a big, like, triple shot explosion here. And I'm not hitting anything with that. They're all out of range. But the problem with this is it's got a longer cooldown. Now, this can kill Hulkers as well. It's not usually often that it does, but it's basically just a cluster bomb, but a bigger circle and more shots. That's all it is. And again, it's just AoE, like medium-sized mob clear. That's all it is. Whereas the Airstrike, and my recording got glitched out. Anyway, let's move on to farming super credits. So the easiest way to farm super credits is to pick Search and Destroy missions. And we're just going to pick a bunch of AoE stuff real quick here. And it's, like, you don't need too much, right? So we're just going to go ahead and load in. You don't even need to do this with people. And you want to drop somewhere where there's not red, but you also want to drop somewhere where there isn't any kind of geometry. So you can see here right in the middle, there's like a bunch of rocks. We don't want to drop at rocks. So this is a good spot to drop for items. This is a good spot, and this is a good spot. This is also maybe a good spot. This is also a good spot. So we're going to drop here and worm our way this way. And yeah, let's just go ahead and drop right there. There we go. And for, you know, our choices, we're going to take the Piss Laser, the Orbital Laser. We're going to take Cluster Bombs, Airstrike. And if you want, you could take Barrages or any kind of the thing. I'm just going to take Orbital Airburst Strike with radar so I can see everything. And then there we go. When we land, we're going to look for yellow little laser indicators that are jumping out of the ground into the sky. So upon landing, we look around. I don't see any lasers from the ground. Well, I see those lasers. That's not what I'm talking about. They're like yellow lasers that will beam into the sky. Kind of odd looking, but let's make our way north a bit. And we don't have to beat the mission to get the super credits. We just have to simply loot them and then leave. So here we can see kind of a base, maybe, but there's no laser shooting into the sky signifying that we can loot anything there. So that is basically a waste. So let's continue along. Actually, we need to go this way. And it's okay if we die. It's okay if we get shot at. It doesn't really matter. We also got aircraft on us, which is fine. If we die, it just lets us travel faster. It's a minor annoyance, but I'm going to cut to when we find the little not piss laser, but the space laser in the sky. Also, I am slowed and rooted and damaged, and yes, no lasers that way. Yes, that's a grenade, I know. Let's cut the footage now. Alright, we've found one. You see this like yellow laser that's emitting into the sky just randomly? That means there is a lootable object there. We just gotta make our way to it and nuke everything that's defending it and then loot it and see if it's super credits. If not, you know, it's whatever. And once we loot it, we leave the map and join another map, and we rinse and repeat until we unlock as many war bonds as we want. And you can see right now I'm at 950, so I need just 50 more. That could be 1 box, that could be 5 boxes, 1 to 5 boxes. That's all I need. Of course, I could just, you know, card swipe and buy the damn things, but who wants to spend real money on video games, am I right, guys? You can see this is where the laser is being emitted from, these little kind of buildings. You can see it pulsing. I guess I got close and now it doesn't show. But you just interact with it, and what do we get? A stalwart. Wow. Yeah, it takes a little while to farm this. Another tip I can give you is to preferably farm the zones at nighttime. So if you look at the very center of the screen, you'll see this little circle icon that I'm moving around. You'll see in the top left of this circle is a sun icon, but if I go over here, you'll see a moon icon, meaning nighttime. So you want to preferably do nighttime maps because it makes it way easier to see. So we'll go ahead and pick this map, and because it's dark, those lasers will shine in the night sky. Later on, you're going to be bottlenecked by super samples, and there is one very specific rock. It looks like this. I call it a drumstick. It looks like a chicken nugget. I'm not really sure. But this is what the rock looks like, and around it will always be the super samples. Now, there are 2 of these on every map. There's a fake one and a real one. So, again, you just want to look around for it, and you can technically see this on the mini-map if I can not be shot at and kind of show you. So on the map, it looks a little bit, it looks kind of, it's, no, they must have patched it, because I can't see it on the map anymore. Oh boy, I just have the orbital burst. I'm going to farm this super credits right here. Let's go ahead and just start laying into this tank. I don't think that the orbital burst here is going to do anything. It'd be nice if it hit this aircraft, but it's not. I'm just going to die and respawn, grab these super credits, possible super credits. But yeah, that's one way to farm super samples. Now, I'm going to go more into sample farming in just a bit. And one way to find this chicken nugget statue is either to get to high ground or somewhere where you can see a lot around you. So if I pan my camera around, I can find... Yep, there it is. Okay, so there it is. Right there. There's that chicken nugget rock. And again, there's 2 on every map. There's a fake one and a real one. So let's run over and see if this one has the super samples. Now, obviously, you would be farming super samples with a group. You know, on a team, because doing it solo is absolutely nightmarish, because you do have to extract and win the mission. Yeah, so the samples are here. They look like the little floating gray globs of whatever. So, yeah, anytime that you want to get these, and because you will need them at some point, but once you get a bunch, you're gonna have, like, more than you can spend. But for the earlier parts of your playthrough, you're going to be bottlenecked by these bad boys. And so it is your job, your mission, when you join a game, to just seek these out. And, you know, it's a minor place of interest, but this won't show up. It used to be like a gray silvery dot on the map, but they've removed that, I guess, because too many people were just joining games and farming it. So there you go. But for just general farming of samples, the best way is to join games in progress that are nearly complete. This mission is 12 minutes long. It's been going on for over 7 now. So hopefully I can connect to these guys, drop down. They're all extracting. They have the samples already collected for me. I can just profit off of their work. Because the way it works is, as long as whoever holds the samples extracts, everyone gets them. And so, yeah, we're just going to join this game in progress. Let's see what everyone else has equipped. And I can't see what, you know, primary they have, but they have heavy machine gun, a Quasar, and that. So I'm going to go with my basic standard shield, and we'll just throw a turret down because if turrets are fun, I don't know why not. They've already got shield. We'll do hellpod optimization. There we go. Not shield, but radar. And let's, hopefully they're collecting samples. Hopefully they're not dying and suffering. We'll see. I probably should have went spear because this is a fabricator mission and there's going to be air and... Alright, so they have one more fabricator to do, and the samples they have collected are none. So I could just leave. Oh wait, we just beat the mission. So I could stay and collect all the XP and stuff, or I could just immediately leave since they're not collecting the samples, or I could be a hero and collect the samples myself. Also, let's go ahead and just deal with this real quick. There we go. So that's... come on, stop stunning me. And I walked into a mine. That's embarrassing. So I was spectating this player who has the explosive crossbow, and they just one-shot a fabricator with it. So that's really good to know. I think I know what war bond I want to get next. Now, one thing we can do... Oh, let me just pop this real quick. There we go. And one thing we can do is we can look at the map and see if there's any drop samples. Because sometimes, even though no one's carrying samples, they might have dropped it at extract, which they clearly didn't. We have something dropped there and there. Look for sample vials just scattered around the map. No, there is no sample vials. So these guys are not prioritizing samples at all. But I'm going to ride this match out and collect the XP because why not? Alright, just landed in another game. These guys only have 1 and 1 samples with no samples dropped off at extract. But again, the mission is just ending and I just got here, so it's free XP. I'm just going to ride this one out while they do all the fighting. Now, sometimes you'll have to do the farming of the samples yourself. Wow, I said that weird. But essentially, this was an outpost. I just bombed it. And every time you see any kind of like little red circles on the map... Oh, someone did drop some samples there. Oh, we got 12, 7, and 1. So someone had them hidden somewhere on the map. Anyway... just bomb the outpost, and once everything's destroyed and everything's killed, just run around it, and you'll see little samples. Go ahead and pick them up. But remember, you do have to extract with them, so I recommend a build that uses the shield, alright? You absolutely want a shield, so that you don't get, you know, just gimped by stupid explosions and unlucky mob drops. The shield really, really helps. And oh boy, look at this drop. Let's go ahead and just take all of those out. Anyway, I'm going to work with the team now to get these samples extracted. And there we go. So I was only in this match for like 2 to 3 minutes. It took these guys 35 minutes and 47 seconds. So essentially, I'm farming... And yes, it's only on rank 7. It's not Helldiver difficulty because no one was doing robots right now. They're all off killing the bugs. So I didn't get as much experience or anything, but the samples are what matters. That's what I'm after for a few more upgrades. And yeah, so I spent, what, 3 minutes getting those samples. They spent 35 minutes. I'm being 10 times more efficient than they are. Here's another mission I joined for about 1 minute and 20 seconds, and that's 15, 15, and 3. And this mission went on for 37 minutes, so you can see how much time I'm saving by farming samples this way. And that about wraps it up for the guide. So just to recap, look for the chicken nugget rock when you want those super samples. If you want to farm samples super quickly, join public games. If you want to farm super credits, just join random fabricator, you know, destruction maps and look for the yellow laser emitting in the sky, loot the boxes, and then exit and go to a different map until you can afford whatever it is you want to buy. And with that, you know, try out all the weapons. They're pretty fun. You know, the game is pretty interesting and pretty different per map. And I showed you all the meta weapons. I showed you the weapons that are fun. you know, the weapons that are useful, and I can't land a headshot here. There we go, finally got it. I think, maybe, did we? Yeah, it's down, okay. So, that's pretty much it for me. Leave a like on the video, let me know what you learned, let me know what you think. And, man, that guy left immediately after dying once. So, with that said, please click the video on the right side of your screen, and if you don't, then... I don't know, you're gonna get a nasty watermelon, you're gonna cut it open, it's gonna like fizz because it's been fermenting in the hot sun or something. I don't know. That's just what you get for not clicking the video. See you later, guys. If this video does well, I'll make more Helldivers videos. Take care.